Now, these are things that your business coach doesn't want you to know. Today, what we're diving into is literally the 5 unsexy truths about business. They will have you think that everything in business is flow and ease and grace and beautiful, and we're all just going to be lit up as fuck, hashtag gratitude, and the money is just going to float in the window and slap us in the face one day. All right. And to be honest with you, they themselves, and I send love, but they themselves know that's a lie because they know what it is that they've had to put in, to get the level of success that it is that they have now as well. So as your business coach, that is what I'm here for. I am here for your success. I want us all to win. And so that we can just simply, make you as much money as possible, as fast as possible.
Cosmic Money, the podcast, the strategy and energetics of 7-figure business.
Hello, gorgeous things. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm your host, Sky Hanley. Really excited to bring you today's podcast. I mean, let's face it, I'm probably really excited every day that I'm bringing you a podcast. However, look, here's the thing, you guys. Today, what we're diving into is literally the 5 unsexy truths about business. Now, these are things that your business coach doesn't want you to know, but I'm your business coach now, all right? And so if you know anything about me and my journey, especially of late and this year, and as we move forward into season 2, you know that I want to not only demystify, I suppose, all the different things that go out there in the business world, the business coaching world, the coaching world, the service-based business world, the full extension, all right? I want to demystify so much of what it is that we see that goes on out there and actually bring you the cold, hard truths about things and the answers, right? Because if we can understand at a much greater level, all the different, varying levels of business, of strategy, of soul, of action, of alignment, of impact, of income, then, in its entirety, we're going to have far more success. All right. So as your business coach, that is what I'm here for. I am here for your success. I want us all to win. And so to do that, to help support you, we need to talk about some fucking unsexy things that, as I said, the social media verse or the celebrity, coaches and stuff like that with their overnight, IG success, they don't want you to know this stuff. They will have you think that everything in business is flow and ease and grace and beautiful, and we're all just going to be lit up as fuck, hashtag gratitude, and the money is just going to float in the window and slap us in the face one day. All right. And to be honest with you, they themselves, and I send love, but they themselves know that's a lie because they know what it is that they've had to put in, to get the level of success that it is that they have now as well. All right. So we're not into cookie cutters around here. I want to bring you my over 20 years of experience in business, all right, in running businesses and then in coaching people in business for the last 10 years, again, so that you can succeed and so that we can just simply, make you as much money as possible, as fast as possible. So let's jump into these 5 unsexy truths that your business coach doesn't want you to know. Number one, all right, number one. You might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now, to be honest with you, with this podcast just in its own right. But the first one is, right, number one is at some point in time, you're going to feel overwhelmed. All right, guaranteed. And to be honest with you, if I sit here and think about it, let me change that a little bit. At some point in time, probably this week, you're going to feel overwhelmed. All right. You are going to feel overwhelmed this week. You are probably going to feel overwhelmed next week. You're probably going to feel overwhelmed the week after. It is just, God, I make it sound terrible. But I mean, look, we're here for reality, right? So often in business, shit hits the fan, right? Something unexpected, something is going to change, somebody's going to ghost you, something you weren't expecting, some money has fallen through, a bill's come through that you didn't expect and things like that, right? And so we have to understand that, unfortunately, and kind of fortunately, I suppose, that a little bit of overwhelm comes with the job title of, entrepreneur. If you have your own business, at some point in time, you are going to feel overwhelmed, and often, and probably often, full stop. All right. So if we can understand that, okay, if we can just simply, you and I, we're just sitting here, we're just a couple of friends having a buddy conversation, right? And I'm laying down the truth that guess what? Some point in time, you're probably going to feel overwhelmed. Then perhaps from that space of understanding, from that place of knowing, you can either stop beating yourself up, for feeling that very human response, which is supernatural and normal, contained within, the business spectrum and the entrepreneurial space and things like that. You can stop beating yourself up, and you can stop adding, the additional 10% of wronging yourself for feeling that to begin with anyway. Because feeling overwhelmed and having to solution the fuck out of some unexpected challenge that has, arisen, right? That is enough. That is an experience enough in its own right. When something comes up and you're like, oh my God, I didn't expect that. What the fuck am I going to do about this? What does that even look like? I was really banking on that, whatever your thought process might be, right? And you want to kind of go into shutdown mode. What if that is just enough as an experience of its own? And you don't then need to go, gosh, I should be better at this by now, or I shouldn't have to feel like this, or, I want to be able to deal with this. Why isn't it as easy as I want it to be? Because fucking business is not easy. Business is not easy. And whatever kind of business you're in, I just liken it to coaches because coaches is very easy for me, but coaching is one skill set, business is another. All right. E-commerce is a skill set, businessing an e-commerce brand is another. Branding is a skill set, business is another. Marketing is a skill set, business is another. Whatever it is that you do, you could be, spiritual, you could be health, you could be relationship, you could be, business yourself, double business like I am, right? I'm a business coach for business people, all of these, have their own inherent amount of difficulty that comes with them. Like, so if we're then, and I often say, you guys, and have a think about this question for yourself as well, right? I often say, if there was one thing that I could remove from humanity, so for you, what would you remove from humanity? What would you go, what, if I could solve this, it could be, maybe it's hunger, maybe it's like, shelter, maybe it's, something behavioral or mindset related, kind of like it is for me. So if I could remove one thing from humanity or just solve one problem like magic wand, it would be the 10% that people put on top of them when they wrong themselves for daring to have an emotion or an experience anyway. You're already a human. You might be having a overwhelming experience. That experience is enough without you beating yourself up for having it to begin with. Make sense? So when we look at business, when we look at entrepreneurship, when we look at marketing, when we look at money, when we look at, social media, all the different things, you are going to be overwhelmed at some point in time and probably potentially on a regular basis. All right. So now, we can take that percentage off the top. We can stop wronging you for being human and for, going through a journey and stuff like that. Right. And we can hopefully hack you, right, into moving forward quicker. Because again, you guys have heard me say we're in season 2 now. Across every episode that I've ever had a guest, I always ask them, questions around, their hardship, their challenges, and their mentality around those things, how they deal with that. And what is the reoccurring theme? In my language, the thing I keep saying to all of you as well, pick the fucking crown up, dust the motherfucker off, and keep going. It doesn't mean you're not crying. It doesn't mean you're not having a meltdown on the floor like I do or whatever it is. But, you trust enough that there is a solution and you will find one or you will get help. All right? Resilience. Okay. So it's not about not feeling overwhelmed. It's how you then choose to deal with that overwhelm that is actually important in business. Because if you choose to deal with the overwhelm by, hiding in the background of your business for the next 10 days and not actually doing anything and not showing up on social media and not taking any action because one person, ghosted you and said no to your deal or offer or something like that, money you were banking on, why then waste the next 10 days that you could be selling and replenishing, that money or that client, because you're having a bit of an emotional experience or something like that and beating yourself up and you always knew you were going to be a failure anyway. How does that help? It doesn't. All right. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. So the second thing, all right, the second unsexy truth that I want to share with you today is that it takes work, you guys. It actually takes work. And again, I know that, bless them, the Insta famous celebrity kind of business coaches and stuff like that will have you believe, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, will have you believe that it is grace, flow, and ease every single day. I assure you it is not. And I know, some of these people, I call them, my friends. And I know that for them, it hasn't always been easy. I know that they have struggles and that is real. And so I think it's so important that, I don't think people go out of their way to necessarily paint a picture on social media. Gosh, I almost laughed my way through that. Look, that definitely happens. That definitely happens. I'm not saying it never happens. But what I am saying is that social media in its own right, especially, is this kind of microcosm, as we all know this. It is the microcosm of all the good. It's like, look at me, look what I'm up to. Here I am, like hashtag living my best life, like all of those kinds of things. And yes, that is true. And yes, that is real. And yes, so is, gratitude for all of the amazing pieces that, to be honest with you, entrepreneurship gives us. Like, fuck yes to that. I'm not here to talk you out of your own business, right? I'm here to have you take a few percentages off the top, right? And point out some things that are going to happen, because if they are guaranteed to happen, and if you understand that and you know that, right? Number one, I'm in integrity as a business coach, because it's my job to protect you as best as I can from the clunkiness of it all, right? But if the clunkiness occurs, which it's guaranteed to, that somehow we have either hacked around you, future proof, we've done something even just to alert you, hey, it's actually really fucking normal. Okay? It's really normal that sometimes business is fucking hard, that it takes work. All right. And even that, sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, why do these people have such unfair advantages? Or why have they got all of this success? And why does it look like they're, skyrocketing, off into the stars or whatever it may be? And I always sort of go, well, are they? I don't know. Some are, some aren't. Like, but it is a picture, because marketing in its own right is really about, elevating your perceived expertise. All right. So that people go, ooh, I think I need to come and join that person. Wow. They're having a lot of amazing success. And look what they're up to. And they're saying all of these words that, are dear to my heart. They're saying it can be flowy, and they're saying it's easy, and they're saying it can be fast. And, and I truly believe that some of that is reality. Absolutely. Yes. It can be easy. It should be. I want you to enjoy fun, play, pleasure, passion. I want you following your greatest excitement. All right. And some days can fuck right off. That is business. Okay. And that is simply important, to know. Let me give you a quick little story actually about that. So one of our previous guests in season 1 was in fact Emma Needoff. She is my high performance coach, and she is a high performance coach for other amazing humans out there. We've been working really closely together for at this point in time about 18 months, which is crazy. In and around my own, my health, my performance, my like results, life, business, all of the different things. Alrighty. Now, I can actually say this now. I wasn't able to say this at the time of the podcast with Emma. Emma is now an Olympic gymnast. All right. She has just been selected for the Olympic team. She's off on her own amazing journey. Please go follow her, because she is genuinely inspiring. And I put a post up the other day, sort of saying, look, I find her so inspiring. But I say that, because I think that the word inspiring, like, oh my God, you're so inspiring, right? It's so thrown around that it potentially has lost a little bit of its meaning, a little bit of its shine. And so I wanted to be really intentional and specific about what I personally find inspiring about Emma. Now, as I said, she has a little bit of her own story. She air quotes retired from, gymnastics twice, and she's 27. So to be going, to be selected as part of the Australian team, to be going to the Olympics as a 27-year-old gymnast is already insane in its own right. The more interesting thing, I get goosebumps talking about it. The more interesting thing about that is that, in fact, 6 months ago, she was not like Olympics ready. She didn't even know that she was going to, like trial for it and all the rest of it. So in 6 months, what an exceptional athlete. She was not in athletic form. She will tell you that herself. She was, living her very, hashtag best, very human life, right? At 27, as you do. But so it took her, like basically 4 months. 4 months, she just went, right, performance outcome, put in the fucking work, did all of the things, and, and now the result for that is being selected at the, highest level that you possibly can be to go and represent our country at the Olympics. Now, the point of this story and in relation to it takes work is not that, oh my gosh, all the work that, Emma put in and all the rest of it. What I found inspiring and what I wanted to say to her that I think is super important, to me, it's not the glitz. To me, it's not the glam. To me, it's not the, the perfect land that she has done, flipping off some fucking thing I couldn't even name, and and then hitting the ground, and then like ta-da, like all the beautiful gymnasts do. To me, the inspiration is not that she's now zipping around the place doing amazing interviews and things like that on the news and talking about her story and blah blah blah. To me, what I find so fucking inspiring is that I have an inkling, an ounce of understanding of what it fucking takes behind the scenes every fucking day to hold that level of performance, to hold that level of expertise, to continue to show up, even when it fucking hurts, even when she is tired, even when she doesn't want to, even when her emotions are getting the better of her, even when she is hormonal, even when. All right. And if you've ever seen the analogy, I suppose, of like, you see the ballerina in her beautiful like shoes, right? And then they take their shoes off and a ballerina's toes are beat up like a motherfucker. Like, honestly, they are bruised, they are bloodied, they are calloused, they are bent, they are all kinds of things. Nobody gets to see what's underneath those ballerina shoes. All they see is the beautiful result, the gorgeousness, the makeup, the flow, the ease of it all, right? To me, yes, I understand the front face of it all, but I also understand the fucking back. Right? I understand what it fucking takes a human to master something. And not only that, you guys, and this is the lesson in this for you. So listen to me now, to choose it every single day. And Emma, as my little example today, Emma, has to wake up every morning and go to sleep. And in every moment, bookends, right? Like every moment of every day for the next however long until the Olympics, and then the performance of the Olympics at the time, she has to continue to pick that opportunity. It's not just this opportunity has occurred. Oh, I'm a business coach now. Oh, I have a business now. Or, oh, I'm an Olympic athlete now, or whatever it is. It is every moment of every day. And it is especially the moments that everybody else cannot see. That is what I fucking find inspiring. All right. And so that, in its own, I could just end the podcast now, you guys, 17 minutes in, we're done. All right. If you take nothing else from today, oh my gosh, please take that. It takes work. All right. And it's not just the front end, beautiful showing up, doing the thing kind of work that it takes. It takes you choosing, your life, your business, this opportunity, like every moment of every day, even when it's tricky, even when it's hard, even when your hands are fucking calloused and bleeding or your toes hurt, every fucking day you choose this opportunity. All right? That is what it takes. Because some days, yeah, your emotions are going to get the better of you. And some days, as we said before, you're going to get overwhelmed and, shit's hit the fan and that day can fuck right off. Absolutely. And that's okay to feel those things. And that's okay to have that day and that moment. No worries. Don't wrong it. It's going to occur, excuse me. But, then you get to choose. And it is a choice. And you have to choose the difficulty as well as the good, because you can't have one without the other. And that's the difference, in what other business coaches would have you think, and what I want you to simply know. All right. What it actually takes to choose your existence every single day. All righty. Now, number 3, I guess like all of these are really interconnected, you guys. They're same, but different. They're extensions of themselves. All right. There are absolutely through lines. So, number 3 is stop sabotaging. All right. You need to stop sabotaging. Now, you've probably heard somebody say that before. That's maybe not groundbreaking and new. But what do I mean by stop sabotaging? Well, I mean that, your business is not a personal extension of your worth as a human being on this planet. All right. Your business. And look, don't get me wrong here, you guys. Like, I have to like swallow my own pill, my own medicine here with this one as well. Your business is not a personal extension of your worth as a human being on this planet. And so you need to stop sabotaging by tying your self-worth into what we call vanity metrics. All right. And vanity metrics is basically like the external validations that we get, the little dopamine hits, from whatever it is that looks like it's occurring out there in our business. So if we are, connecting our self-worth or our worth as a human being on this planet to our business in some way, then what that might look like is that, you put up a post, all right? And the post gets no engagement, crickets, you guys. And you thought, fuck, that was a really good post and I wanted engagement, and you're checking it and like nobody's liked it or anything or commented or something like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm so fucking shit. Like why, why is nobody like paying attention to this? Why didn't I get any traction? Why does nobody want to join my program? Now, these are great questions to ask in terms of business as a diagnostic, you guys, because that's true. Business is simply data. Business is data, you guys. All right. It is not an emotional extension, of your worth as a human being on this planet. It isn't and shouldn't be tied into your emotions. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not so heartless. Like, I'm actually, I'm all heart, right? Like in terms of like how much responsibility and desire and care and and the love that we pour into our most amazing clients, absolutely we do that. However, there is a bit of an analogy. Let me give you another one. Right, I can give you the car, okay, I can put the keys in, I can fill it with petrol, but I can't I can't drive it for you. Okay, so we pour love and effort and care and strategy and, and action and all the different things into our clients. But at the end of the day, their results, your results are your own. And you can't be annoyed at the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. And therefore, it is your job to take massive and radical self-responsibility for your actions and therefore your results. Okay. And so if it's to do with your clients, you need to have a little bit of discernment. That doesn't mean that you're not, caring or tapped in or, full of love or all of the different things, but it does mean that you understand that only they can drive the car. All right. And if it's in terms of, external, public facing engagement, likes and loves and traction and things like that on social media, you are literally tying your self-worth as a human being on this planet into what we call vanity metrics. All right. And external validation. And you will always be disappointed if you are tying that, your worth into external sources. You need to hold the belief in yourself. You need to have trust in yourself. You need to, know that intrinsically, right? Like you are a human of integrity and you are out there doing good in this world. And that doesn't mean that you don't need to learn a little bit more about business and strategy and things like that. That's why I'm here to help as your business mentor now, right? We're married. Like I am emotionally invested in your success. I promise you that. Alrighty. But it starts with you stopping sabotaging. All right, geez, that was a brain breaker for a second there. You need to stop sabotaging. It's that simple. All right. So hold the belief in yourself, hold your certainty, know that you're a human of integrity going out there to do good things, and that anything else, around that is simply a skill set that you are yet to learn. And so that might be marketing, and that might be social media, and that might be, businessing broadly as a whole. That might be lead generation, that might be sales. These are skill sets. All right, this is business and business data. It is not connected to your worth, your worthiness, your enoughism and those kinds of things. You need to have discernment around that. And if you don't, maybe come and have a conversation with me. All right, like let's figure something out. Number 4, again, really intrinsically connected to the rest of them. Number 4 is breathe into this one, you guys. This one sucks a little bit, all right? Number 4 of the unsexy truths in business is that somebody is going to say something bad about you at some point in time. All right, someone is going to absolutely speak badly about you. They're going to say some shit that is not true and is not real, and all the rest of it. They are going to post something online. They are going to comment under something. They are going to, maybe unfortunately, and I don't even like the energy of having to say this out loud, but maybe they're going to have a little bitch amongst themselves or whatever it is, all right? Somebody is going to speak badly about you at some point in time. You can't be so precious to have that throw you off your goals and your mission. Like so many dreams are crushed and thrown to the wayside, by people giving up on them. It's not that, because somebody said something bad, it's not that external person's fault. The challenging piece is that when we've then somehow taken that thing that they've said, and we've taken it to heart and we allow it to somehow deter us or throw us or, whatever, like off our own game. And to be honest with you, a little extension of that, and everyone breathe into this, the extension of that generally is that nobody can actually throw you all that much or have you believing something, or feeling bad about something that for some reason you don't already believe to be true about yourself. All right, breathe that one in for a second. If somebody puts something, comment online or they say terrible things about you, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean, and I've had many occasions of this, unfortunately. It just comes with business growth, over, 10 years of doing what I do now and 20 years contained within business. But at some point in time, people have said some shit about me. And that is okay. And there are a couple of levels and layers to that as well, you guys. So level 1 is, level 1 is like, okay, well, somebody has said something bad about me and, and I let it throw me and I hide in the background of my business and I fear being judged. And so I don't take action. I don't go out there and do all the things, and it's this like entirely, emotional upheaval that is probably based in the fact that it's grinding up against something that you already believe about yourself. That is why it hurts. All right, that is level 1, that perhaps there is an edge of healing or something along those lines that they have managed, it's like, ooh, like that thing was just bubbling under the surface, like for you already anyway. It could be that you think you're an imposter or a fraud, and then somebody says, oh gosh, this chick doesn't know what she's talking about. And you're like, oh my God, like they know, that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And now everyone's saying this or whatever it might be, right? It snowballs because there's that little part inside of you that already thought you were an imposter anyway. All right. And now vanity metrics, somebody said some shit, right? And you're not holding the belief in yourself enough, so that has managed to grind against something that you already believe to be true, inherently about you anyway. That's why it hurts. Because if you don't believe it to be true, it doesn't hurt you guys. So that's level 1. Level 2 is then, the amazing saying, and I truly believe this to be true. My mum taught me the lesson of it says more about them than it does you anyway. All right. It says more about them than it does you anyway. If they've gotten together or if somebody said something awful on social media or, whatever it might be, it says more about them than it does anyway, than it does you anyway. All right. And so and so often I just feel a little bit sorry for them, to be honest with you. All right. And that's level 3. Let me finalize actually level 2 for a second. Level 2, it says more about them than it does you anyway. All right. Sometimes that can have a little bit of an emotional load. And what that might look like is, oh, well, it says more about them than it does me anyway. Alrighty. And it's kind of like you can hear how there is still a bit of an emotional load in there. And that's basically like eating poison yourself. It's not hurting them, but you still have this poison inside of you. Level 1 is like, oh my God, it's grinding against something I already believe about myself anyway. And they know they've found me out. I'm such a fucking fraud. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And now other people are saying that too. Shit, and just being completely thrown by the whole thing. And again, allowing your dreams to go to the wayside. Level 1. Level 2, is, oh, well, it says more about them than it does me anyway, but it's got a little bit of fucking attitude to it. So it's like, yeah, like that's fine. Like, good luck to them. No worries. Like, right. And you can hear that kind of thinking, it's still poison because it's still living inside of you. Now, level 3 to that is, look, I do truly believe it does say more about them than it does me anyway. But also, as I started to say, I feel a lot of compassion for them and I feel a little bit sorry for them, and not attitude like feeling sorry for them, but genuinely so, because I understand, and I want to bring forward to you now, I understand that somebody who is that poisonous, that they would say these awful things under whatever circumstance, it has occurred, all right, that somebody who is willing to say that kind of a thing anyway, think about what they're saying to themselves in their own head. Because if they're being that judgmental of you, guaranteed, what we know to be true is that their internal dialogue of themselves is going to be 10 times more judgmental than how they are judging you. That is how judgment works. All right. It isn't indiscriminate. It isn't indiscriminate. All right. They are judging themselves even worse in relation to their existence, their life, beating themselves up, how they're moving through this world. And I know that. And so 1, it does say more about them than it does me anyway. 2, it does not grind against me if I simply understand that what they're saying is not true and I hold the belief in myself and I know I'm a human of integrity. And that doesn't mean that I don't take on board feedback and things like that, of course. But I'm mindful of where the feedback is coming from and under what kind of pretense, and then on top of that, it's like, wow, if they're saying something so horrible about me and they, if they've gone to somebody else or, however it has come about, I sit there and go, gosh, what is it that they're saying about themselves as well? And often, again, the next extension of that, of a level of understanding, you guys, is that generally judgment, it often runs in families. And so it means that that level of judgment has probably come from a parent who is either judging themselves horribly and harshly, themselves as well, or, that person has grown up in a hugely, horribly, like judgmental environment where they had a parent who was quite hard on them and judgmental. And that's what's created the pattern in their brain where they are now being horrible and judgmental, not only to themselves, but then externally as well, because it's the only way that they can feel like as if they have lifted themselves up in some way too, because their internal dialogue around themselves is so fucking bad. All right. So again, when I see these things out there and I go, oh my gosh, like, wow, like somebody just said something terrible or awful or whatever it might be. Like I go, gosh, it says more about them than it does me anyway. And I actually feel genuinely, not from like, feeling sorry for them, but from a genuine place of understanding the pattern that has created that. I do feel really sorry for them because I think, gosh, what are you saying to yourself? All right. Now let me give you a little bit of a funny example. I had this scenario a little while ago now where, and I don't think I've told you guys on the podcast, so let me tell you now. So I had this scenario, it was quite funny, where I think I'd put a post up or an ad up or something like that, and it was a video of me, and I had a decent amount of makeup on. I think I had brightly colored eyes, something like that. Not as, I'm not too overdone today. This is me. Like, I've got glitter on my face, you guys, but that's me, at base level. But anyway, that day, look, I was a multicolored, whatever unicorn that I had gone out there in. Anyway, so that video, I put it up, and this person, this I use this term loosely, this gentleman, commented underneath it. And what I found so amazing and so, to be honest with you, hilarious about his comment was that it was so clear that he had really, really thought about it. Really thought about how can I, whatever, like verbally attack this woman. Like, I didn't know who he was. I had no idea who he was. And, he's still nobody to me, and he had no idea who I was. But he really actually genuinely, like trolled it like fucking, 1,000%. And actually thought about, like, how can I fuck this chick up? Like, genuinely, right? And so he said something like, like fuck off or shut up, or I think it was both. It was like fuck off, shut up, you scamming, frumpy, too much, makeup wearing, ugly bitch. And I was like, wow, like shut the fuck up, or fuck off, you scamming, too much, frumpy, ugly, too much makeup wearing bitch. And I was like, wow, like he really thought about that. He thought, number one, like an amazing way to attack females is to call them, frumpy, ugly, like fat, like this kind of thing, bitch or whatever. You know how I know this, you guys? Because I used to be a bouncer. All right. So don't hold that against me. It's because I really, I actually, really dislike violence, but I also understand that I back in the day, I was very much able to do something about that. I could defend myself, I could defend others, and and that could include using this brain and this mouth to step in before something escalated and things like that. So I was a bouncer, I was a violent venues guard. I don't know if we've had that conversation. Let's not, So I went to the worst of the worst places to help get them off the violent venues lists. All right. Now, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been called a fat bitch. Like, you fucking fat bitch, right? Like, as in total disgust, fucking nose turned up, like, whatever, because I cut somebody off and said, no, you can't have any more alcohol tonight. Like that was probably dribbling on themselves and half passed out on a table or whatever it might be, right? And it's such an interesting go-to, and so I know that, like, very personally, right? How much of a go-to it is to attack women based on, their looks, based on their weight, calling them a bitch and things like that, like all of these kinds of things. And so this, air quotes, gentleman on this, on this post that said, like, shut up, like, fuck off, you frumpy, like, scamming. Right. Wow. Amazing. Too much weight makeup wearing bitch. Right. Now, let's think about that for a second. I could have, if for some reason any of that, grounded or grinded against, something that I believe to be true about myself, like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm a fucking scam, or he's right, like, I do, air quotes, have too much makeup on, like, even if, like, let me tell you guys something, because I think about this one as well, because I wear a lot of makeup sometimes, but just bright colors and different things and glitter and all the rest of it. I do it because it makes me happy, and not that I'm trying to justify to you, but I'm giving you the example. I do it because it makes me happy, not happy because I somehow think that I'm less than and I require that amount of makeup or whatever. Like, to me, putting glitter on my face is like the external representation of how I truly feel about myself on the inside anyway, and so if I've got a bright colored eyeshadow on and some, nice lips and and something like that, it's because I actually feel really fucking good about myself, and I'm it's this outward extension of, how I already truly feel about myself on the inside. Now, if that makeup was in some way, because I felt bad about myself and thought, gosh, I need to cover up, all of this and like blah, blah, blah. Could you imagine how that that, that sentence from that, human, right, would have grinded against something that I already truly believed about myself anyway. And that could have absolutely completely thrown me, deterred me, gotten under my skin, right? Sat there thinking I'm ugly, I'm frumpy, like I wear so much makeup because, I feel shit about myself. I don't want people to know, like there's something I'm hiding. I must be, I'm a scammer. I'm an imposter. Like any one of those things, if true, could have gotten under my skin and could have completely deterred me. All right. But they didn't because, all right, it says more about him than it does me anyway. I felt really bad. And also, to be honest with you, I was a little fucking impressed. I was so impressed because I was like, man, that person actually sat there and, really thought about it. And to be honest with you, I think I left the comment up because I was like, this is kind of funny. And now everybody else has to see this man's, comment, right? Like of what he's decided to say. I was like, all right, no worries. Like, cool, thanks, bro. Like it was so interesting to me. Any single one of those things could have hurt me, and not a single one of them did. Right? Because I know I'm a human of integrity. I do what I do because I love it for me, to be that outward reflection of how I feel on the inside, not because I need external validation from other people thinking anything about me. It's got nothing to do with that, and whatever else, right? So look, there is a beautiful long-winded story for you about my bouncer days and also, advertising. But that's the thing, especially if you're advertising out there, if you are putting yourself out there 100% at some point in time, somebody is going to say some fucked up shit about you. And so if we just understand that when it happens, you go, oh, wow, like, oh my goodness, okay, and you're going to have a bit of an emotion the first time it happens, for sure, for sure. I'm not saying don't have the emotion. Don't be like, oh my God, I can't believe they've said that. And but you can't always control your first thought or your first emotion, but you can generally control your second. So take it through the layers. Step one, oh my God, I'm having a meltdown. I can't believe they've just said that. Hang on, let me take a breath for a second. Sky said it says more about them than it does me anyway. Well, fuck them for saying that. Hang on, actually, I don't need to carry an emotional load around this. Is there a piece of this that, that is grinding against, that's healing in me? Thank you. Thank you for showing me one of my edges, and I feel really bad for you because I know that you're probably speaking to yourself even worse. And that's how you move through it. All right. Until that just becomes your, that just becomes the norm anyway. All righty. Now, the last one, we've made it. Number 5 of the 5 unsexy truths of business that your business coach doesn't want you to know. But I'm your business coach now, and so I'm going to tell you. Number 5 is, you've probably heard this one before as well, you need to not be a perfectionist, all right? You need to not be a perfectionist. You have to understand. Let's expand on that. I don't want to give you just the fucking beige version of these things, all right, you guys? Stop sabotaging. You're going to be overwhelmed, all right? No perfectionism. Fuck that. Let's actually, deep dive it. So, business is data. Business is a big motherfucking experiment. Every day, every week, every month, every year, business is an experiment. All right. It is all about testing, measuring, adapting, testing, measuring, adapting, testing, measuring, adapting. If you have something that works really well, you do more of that. If you have something that isn't working, optimally, you try to maximize it so it then, is working really well so you can then do more of it. If you have something that is not working at all, cool, no worries. Maybe you need to add a little bit of something new. But we do that in that order, all right? More of what is working really amazingly well in your business, maximize and optimize some things that are maybe not working so well that you could increase. And the third thing, and what I see too many businesses do too often, is that they just throw in the new thing. They're like, okay, this isn't working. I need to do something new, all right? Without actually reading the business data as to what is really happening, not happening, testing, measuring, and adapting that thing, okay? You can't expect to go fishing, throw in your, fishing line and a fish to jump on the end of your hook every single time. It isn't realistic. So why do we somehow expect that in business? It's just not how business works. You have to go out there into the big bad world of business as an experiment. All right. You need to fuck shit up. All right. You need to get it wrong. All right. You need to fuck shit up. You need to get it wrong. You need to whatever, pour a different chemical into the fucking beaker that is business. Okay. Test, measure the success of something, understand if something is or isn't working, know what to do then if it is working really well. Let's do more of that. Or if it's not quite optimized yet, let's maximize and optimize it so that it is working so that we can do more of it, right? And if shit, after testing, measuring, adapting, testing, measuring, adapting, testing, measuring, adapting, and it's still not working, all right, maybe then we need to implement something a little bit new. All right. So it's so, so, so important. Perfectionism, look, let's extend that a little bit in terms of the behavioral science portion of it. Perfectionism is inherently attached to judgment. All right. So, not wanting to put something out there until it's perfect, until it's, 100% done. But it is so much business requires you to put something out there and learn the lessons in real time so that you can, in fact, adapt it and understand that it is, as we've spoken about today, business data, that it's not inherently, attached to your personal worthiness as a human being on this planet or your emotions on any given day or your vanity metrics. All right, go out there, fuck something up, go, oh my gosh, well, that didn't work. Cool, no worries. Especially on social media. You guys, social media is so flippant. There today, gone tomorrow. There today, gone tomorrow. All right. So if you didn't get an engagement on a post yesterday, nobody fucking knows. Just you. You're the only one paying attention to that. Nobody else cares. They're probably sitting there thinking, wow, I'm so impressed that, that you're showing up day after day after day. And another extension, of the perfectionism and the fear of judgment and, hiding in the background, waiting for something to be perfect is the fact that generally you aren't in fear of the greater community, of the whole public, somehow judging you. You are normally in fear of a select few. And so if you can figure out, who that select few is that you are fearing the judgment of, so it could be your family, right? Or it could be your partner even. It could be your friends that you think, oh my gosh, but if I go out there and I put myself out every day and, and they're seeing me fail and they're going to judge me and then they're going to think I'm shit and I'm going to lose all of my friends or they're going to think I'm a bit of a pest and I'm annoying or something like that. See how that's not everyone? You're not worried about the judgment of everybody. You're probably worried about the judgment of a few, select few. And if you can figure out who that is and you can flip it in some way, right? Like, let's face it, if it's your friends as an example, don't you think that your true friends want your success? Don't they want to see you showing up as your highest, best version of yourself and out there living your best fucking life every single day, putting yourself out there and actually trying? Right. And generally, let me say another thing. Nobody punches, let me make sure I say it right. Hang on, everyone breathe. Nobody punches down. I was about to say it the wrong way. I was like, hang on, that's not right. Nobody punches down, you guys. Nobody punches down. What does that mean? It means that nobody that has more success than you is going to look back at you, wherever you are on your spectrum of a journey right now, and judge you harshly for it. Because the rest of us in every way, shape, and form absolutely know, what it's taken behind the scenes for you to get to the place that you are at right now and for you to continue. What did I say before? For you to continue every single day to select this opportunity, for you to pick and choose entrepreneurship and, whatever it is that you may do as your own business. You have not picked an easy route. And people do not understand that. And that is okay. All right. But I get it. I fucking get it. I know what it takes for you to have to show up every single day, for you to step through edges that you didn't even know was there, for you to pick courage, for you to take action, for you to put yourself out there knowing, like I said to you today, that at some point in time, 100% you are absolutely going to get ridiculed. And yet we still choose this every single day. We choose to go after our dreams. All right. And so anyone that you are worried about judging you for that, whether it's family, friends, partnerships, whatever it may be, because it probably isn't the greater overall, public, right? You would think that if they truly love you, then they would want to see you in your greatest levels of success anyway. And at some point in time as well, we need to not use them as an excuse for you to not succeed. All right? You got to sit in fear and do it anyway.
Cosmic Money, the podcast, the strategy and energetics of seven-figure business.